from the rename index.html to indy.html. Notice that the original commit is still present in our commit history. At any time, we can go back and see that commit history because we haven't altered it. Now that we have fixed our index.html file, let's open it up and make some changes to it. So before we do so, we're currently on the master branch. So let's check out to a new branch by typing git checkout. Dash B is an option to create the branch and check out to it at the same time. And then we'll name this branch change speed. As you can check out, dash B is an option to create the branch and check out to it at the same time. And then we'll name this branch change speed. As you can see, we're currently checked out to our new change dash speed branch. So at this point, let's open up the index.html file in our text editor. I'll be using Atom, so I can open that up by typing atom.index.html. Now, whatever text editor you're using, you should see the index.html file look pretty similar to this. Now, when opening up a file, a lot of times you want to make more than one different change. You may want to make a change that's regarding some speed changes to these variables, or maybe something that has nothing to do with that at all. Now, right now, if we were to make multiple changes that don't have anything to do with each other and commit those together, now when opening up a file, a lot of times you want to make more than one different change. You may want to make a change that's regarding some speed changes to these variables, or maybe something that has nothing to do with that at all. Now, right now, if we were to make multiple changes that don't have anything to do with each other and commit those together, let's say further down the road, if we needed to revert this commit and we reverted it, it would revert everything, maybe even the changes we didn't want to revert. So as best practice, it's good to make these small, bite-sized or atomic commits. This way, if you need to go back and revert a change, there are already these small bite-sized changes, so you're not reverting something you don't want to revert if you group everything together in one commit. But committing everything separately by making one small change and then committing that, coming back to our file, making another change, and then committing that, that's a lot of back and forth that we don't want to do. So we can actually make all of these different changes at once, and then use a special git command to separate them later. Our first change is going to be on line 9, where it says hashtag canvas. If we scroll over to the background URL texture.jpg, let's go ahead and add an images folder to this texture. We'll go ahead and save this change. So we've made one change already. Our second change, let's navigate all the way down to line 78, where we have our speed variable. Where we have start 0.6, let's change that to 0.1. We'll go ahead and save this change. We've now made two changes that have nothing to do with each other, but we've made them at the same time in the same file. Let's navigate back to our command line prompt to see how this would work. Let's now run git status. We see that our index.html file has been modified, which makes sense, we just modified that, and it's currently in our working directory. Now, if I were to add this file to my staging area and then commit it, it would commit all of those changes, something I don't want to do. So let's go ahead and split this out. I can do this by typing git add, but instead I'm going to add an option and say -p. This -p stands for patch, and it's going to allow us to separate these changes. Now there's a lot of information here, and we'll get to this in just a minute. But what you see in red is the file version that was previous to our change, and in green is the file version that we've changed. As you can see where it says background, URL, the green has images, the red doesn't. So what patch is doing is it's asking us if we want to stage this particular change. We have the legend at the bottom. We has images, the red doesn't. So what patch is doing is it's asking us if we want to stage this particular change. We have the legend at the bottom. We can hit the question mark to see exactly what all of those options mean. There's a lot here, and we're only going to be going over yes, we're going to stage it, or no, we're not. But know that we have several other options. So I'm going to go ahead and stage this change. It's now asking if we want to stage our speed change. At this point, I don't want to commit this yet. I'm going to say in for no. Now let's go ahead and run git status again. As you can see, our index.html file is now in two different places at once. It's still modified in our working directory, but it's also a version of that file is now modified, but in our staging area. Now, one more thing I want to do is we added that images folder to our texture.jpg, but I actually need to create that for our project. We can do that by typing mkdir for make directory and go ahead and name the file that we want to create. Now, in my index file, I put texture.jpg under images, but I need to physically add that texture.jpg under the images folder. I can do that with Git by typing git mv texture.jpg and then the new file path I want it to be at, images/texture.jpg. Now if I run git status, I see that what I have in my staging area are the two changes that are related to each other. And what I have in my modified working directory is the speed change that I want to leave behind. When it comes to viewing our local changes, don't worry. You don't have to memorize what you've added from your working directory to your staging area, or the exact changes in those files. When working in a real-world project, there can be a lot of changes that are being made, with a lot of files that Git needs to keep track of. Since Git is our content tracker, we can let Git do all of the work. We just need to know where to look and what Git commands we can use to find the information we're looking for. When viewing local changes, we need to think about three states these files can be in: the working directory, the staging area, and what's been committed to history. To see these changes, we can use the git command called git diff. To see the changes that are in our working directory, We can use the getDiff command without any options.